The Little Princess and the Tiny Guardian Mission. Princess Lila was the smallest student at Moonbeam Magic School. She had soft curly hair, shiny sliver shoes, and a tiny silver wand that was only as long as her hand. Even though she was little, Lila wanted very much to do big and important things. Every morning, she watched the older students flying on broomsticks, growing giant pumpkins in the garden, and making sparkling stars float above the castle towers.
One day, I will do something important too.
Lila whispered to her teddy bear, Mr. Button. One bright Monday morning, the school bell rang with a gentle ding, ding, ding. All the students hurried into the great magic hall. The hall was filled with floating candles, singing teacups, and tiny golden birds that zipped through the air. At the front stood Headmistress Willow. She wore a purple cloak covered in tiny silver moons.
Today, we have a very special mission,
said Headmistress Willow with a smile. The room became quiet.
A small creature in our school needs a guardian.
The students gasped excitedly. A guardian mission! Shouted one of the older boys. Headmistress Willow waved her wand, and a little wooden box floated into the room. The box gently opened. Inside sat the tiniest creature Lila had ever seen. It looked like a fluffy baby dragon mixed with a kitten. It had round blue eyes, tiny golden wings, and a tail that curled like a ribbon. Oh, all the students said together.
This is a Starfluff,
said Headmistress Willow. The little creature sneezed softly. Puff! A tiny cloud of silver sparkles floated into the air.
Starfluffs are very gentle, but they are shy, and they need someone kind and careful to look after them for one whole day,
said the headmistress. Immediately, all the older students raised their hands. I can do it! I know dragon language. I got first place in magical creature care. Princess Lila looked down at her shoes. She wanted very much to raise her hand. But what if she was too little? What if she forgot something? What if the Starfluff did not like her? Before she could decide, Headmistress Willow looked straight at her and smiled.
Princess Lila, would you like to try?
She said softly. Lila blinked.
Me?
Yes, I think you may be exactly the right person,
said Headmistress Willow. Lila's heart fluttered like butterfly wings.
I'll try.
The older students looked surprised. She's too little, whispered one. She might lose it, whispered another. Lila's cheeks turned pink, but Headmistress Willow placed the little Starfluff gently into Lila's arms. The creature was warm and fluffy like a cloud wrapped in a blanket.
You may call him Twinkle,
said the headmistress. Twinkle peeked up at Lila and made a tiny squeaky sound. Lila smiled.
Hello, Twinkle. I'll do my best,
she whispered. Headmistress Willow handed Lila a small scroll.
Your guardian mission has 3 parts. First, make sure Twinkle eats his breakfast. Second, help him feel safe during the school day. Third, return him to the moon nest before sunset.
Lila nodded very seriously.
I can do that.
She tucked the scroll into her pocket and carried Twinkle carefully out of the great hall. Their first stop was the school kitchen. The kitchen was noisy and cheerful. Magic spoons stirred soup by themselves. Muffins danced across trays. A tiny teapot sang a silly song.
Twinkle needs breakfast,
Lila said. The cook, Mrs. Pudding, smiled.
Starfluffs only eat moonberries and cloud cream.
She gave Lila a little bowl filled with silver berries and a swirl of fluffy white cream. Lila placed the bowl on the table.
Here you go, Twinkle.
But Twinkle hid behind her arm. He would not eat.
Maybe he's scared.
Lila said softly. The kitchen was loud and busy. Pots clanged. Muffins bounced. The singing teapot got louder and louder. Twinkle curled up into a tiny fluffy ball. Lila thought for a moment. Then she carried him outside into the quiet garden. They sat under a cherry blossom tree beside the pond. Pink petals floated softly through the air.
Don't worry. You can take your time,
Lila whispered. Twinkle slowly peeked out. Then he sniffed the moonberries. Nibble! Nibble, nibble! Soon he was eating happily.
You did it!
Lila laughed. Twinkle wagged his tail. The first part of the mission was complete. Next came the hardest part, helping Twinkle feel safe during the school day. Lila carried him to her first class, beginner wand magic. Professor Fern was teaching the students how to make flowers bloom.
Wave your wand gently and say, "Bloom a lily,"
said Professor Fern. The students pointed their wands. Bright flowers burst open everywhere. Red flowers, blue flowers, golden flowers. But one boy waved too hard. Whoosh! Instead of flowers, a giant bouncing cabbage appeared. The class burst into laughter. But Twinkle got frightened. He squeaked and flew out of Lila's arms.
Oh no!
Cried Lila. Twinkle zipped out the classroom door, down the hallway, and into the castle.
Twinkle, wait!
Lila called. She hurried after him. Twinkle flew through the library, past the sleepy owl librarian, under the staircase, and into the old music room. The music room was quiet and dusty. Sunlight shone through the windows. Twinkle was hiding under the piano. Lila knelt down beside him.
It's okay. You were scared,
she said gently. Twinkle trembled. Lila remembered how she sometimes felt scared too. Sometimes she felt scared when the older students laughed. Sometimes she felt scared when she had to do something new. So she did the thing that always helped her. She began to hum her favorite bedtime song. The room felt softer and calmer. Twinkle slowly crawled out from under the piano. Then, very quietly, he curled up in Lila's lap.
You don't have to be brave all at once. You can be brave little by little,
Lila whispered. Twinkle gave a tiny, happy chirp. When they returned to class, Professor Fern smiled kindly.
"Welcome back,"
she said. Lila sat down carefully with Twinkle beside her. This time, when the students waved their wands, Twinkle stayed close. And when Lila whispered,
"Bloom a lily,"
a beautiful pink flower opened in her pot. Inside the flower was a tiny sparkling star.
"Well done, Princess Lila,"
said Professor Fern. After class came lunchtime. The students sat at long tables in the dining hall. There were star-shaped sandwiches, rainbow soup, and strawberry tarts. Twinkle sat beside Lila in a little teacup lined with a napkin. At first, everything was fine. But then a group of older students came over. "Can we see the Starfluff?" one asked. Before Lila could answer, another student reached out too quickly. Twinkle became frightened again. Puff! A cloud of silver sparkles exploded into the air. Everyone sneezed. Achoo! 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 Twinkle darted away once more. This time, he flew all the way outside to the playground near the forest. Lila ran after him. The sky was beginning to turn golden.
Oh dear, we still have to bring you back to the moon nest before sunset,
she said. She searched everywhere. Behind the swing tree, under the mushroom bench, beside the fairy fountain. But Twinkle was nowhere. Lila's eyes filled with tears.
I lost him,
she whispered. The other students had been right. Maybe she was too little. Maybe she could not do important things after all. Just then, she heard a tiny sound. Squeak! Lila looked up. There, high in the branches of a tall oak tree, sat Twinkle. He was stuck. His little wings were tangled in the leaves.
Oh no!
Cried Lila. The branch was far too high. She tried standing on a rock. She tried reaching with a stick. She even tried a tiny flying spell, but she was too small. Lila sat down under the tree. For a moment, she wanted to give up. Then, she remembered something Headmistress Willow always said.
Being a good guardian does not mean doing everything alone. It means asking for help when you need it.
Lila took a deep breath. Then she hurried back to the playground.
Please, Twinkle is stuck in the tree,
she called to the other students. The older students followed her at once. One student flew up on a broomstick. Another used a levitating spell. Another gently untangled the leaves. At last, Twinkle floated safely back down into Lila's arms. The other students smiled. You were very brave, said one. And very kind, said another. Lila smiled shyly.
No, we all helped,
she said. By now, the sun was dipping low in the sky. Golden light shone across the castle.
It's time for the moon nest,
Lila said. She hurried with Twinkle to the tallest tower of the school. At the very top was a little nest made of silver branches, soft feathers, and moonlit moss. Twinkle climbed into the nest. Then he turned around. For one moment, he looked right at Lila. His eyes sparkled. He gave a happy chirp. Puff! A tiny silver star floated out of his mouth and landed gently in Lila's hands. The star became a shining badge shaped like a crescent moon. Headmistress Willow appeared beside her.
Well done, Princess Lila. You have completed your first guardian mission,
she said warmly. Lila looked down at the badge.
Really?
Really. You were gentle, patient, and brave. You listened, you cared, and when things became difficult, you did not give up,
said Headmistress Willow. Lila smiled so wide that her cheeks hurt. Perhaps she was little, but little people could do important things too. That night, back in her room, Lila placed the moon badge beside her bed. Mr. Button sat beside her pillow. Outside the window, the stars twinkled above Moonbeam Magic School. And somewhere high in the tower, Twinkle chirped softly in his nest. Lila closed her eyes and smiled. Tomorrow, there might be another adventure. But tonight, she dreamed the happiest dream of all, that even the smallest princess could be a wonderful guardian.